What's up, guys? Thought I would do a video this afternoon, giving an update on the incident that happened at Bow Church DLR station on Saturday. I did a video talking about that the other day, obviously saying that I was allowed someone and that person wasn't hurt. Someone's actually commented on that video. They confirmed that they were actually at Bow Church station on Saturday morning, and they actually did see what happened. And they told me that the guy actually did, it was the guy that actually jumped down off the platform onto the track, and obviously was hit by the train, and that gentleman has now sadly died from the injuries that he sustained in that incident on Saturday morning. Obviously, as I said at the time, I was quite shocked by, obviously when I saw what happened, because obviously these kind of incidents don't tend to happen very regularly on the DLR. You very rarely tend to hear, stories of someone being hit by a DLR train. That doesn't very tend to happen very often. This one sort of kind of completely out of the blue. Um, I mean, this does sound like it was a suicide attempt. If the guy jumped down off the platform, I don't know if he was drunk. I don't know if he was, under the influence of anything, or if this was a suicide attempt. All the only information I know is what this person commented on my video, on that video that I did the other day, and told me that the guy jumped down off the platform onto the DLR track, obviously, and that's what led to the incident happen, and that man has now died, which is very sad to hear. Um, I mean, obviously, this was a suicide. You can't help but feel sorry for people that are in that position where they feel the need to do that. They feel the need to end their own life. You feel sorry for everyone that, is involved in those kind of incidents. You feel so. I mean, thankfully, there was, the DLR trains are driverless, but there was still, you still feel for the people that were on the platform who witnessed that. You know, you feel for the people that were on the train. When it's on the London, when it's an incident that happens on the London Underground or the London Overground or National Rail or whatever, or maybe a tram, I'm always very, very quick to send my thoughts out to the driver involved and to say that I hope the driver's okay, you know, because I'm aware of how traumatizing incidents like that can actually be for train drivers. And I'm aware that even near misses can be very traumatizing for them. You know, I mean, it's never nice for anyone to obviously have to see something like that happen. And, for the people that were there at the station on Saturday morning, no one should have had to see that. No one should have had to see a person, you know, do something like that. It's very, very sad to see. You know, when you're sort of asking that question about why that man chose to jump down off the platform and jump onto the track. You're sort of thinking like, what was he trying to do? What did he want to do? Did he want to, take his own life? Is that what he was trying to do? Was he trying to commit suicide? It sounds to me like he was. I don't want to say that he was, but that's what it sounds like. It sounds like he was trying to take his own life. And if that is the case, then that's very sad to hear. If somebody's tried to take their own life like that, you know, I've always said, I'm glad I've never had to witness something like that, and I hope I never do. But I can't say for 100% certainty that I'll never witness something like that, or I'll never see something like that happen, because I just don't know. I go through life, wishing I never see things like that, or I never see anything like that happen, but and I wish I could say that I'll never see something like that happen, or I'll never witness something like that. But it's something I can't say with all certainty. But you just don't know. Um, you know, Incidents like this. When it comes to someone that's trespassing on the railway line, I don't have any sympathy for them, because at the end of the day, it's like, why would you want to do something that's so stupid? Why do, and I did a video about this not long ago. I was talking about how my disgust at the fact that people choose to put their safety at risk. They choose to put their life in the hands of another person. It's like, why do people choose to trespass on our own? And it's a stupid thing to do. And obviously, you always end up paying the price for that. And this person, again, obviously, sort of jumped down on the train track at Bow Church on Saturday morning and has ultimately lost their life, after being hit by a train. Well, not very pleasant. Um, I mean, it's just a horrible, horrible incident to have happened, I mean, but as I said, thankfully, the good thing is these incidents don't happen very regularly on the DLR. They're not a regular occurrence, like they're not an everyday occurrence, which is good. Which is the only real positive thing that can really be said about it, is that at least it's not a regular thing where people are always doing that. I mean, as I said, I do feel sorry for anyone that's ever been in that position. You know, you just got to think about the fact that there are people out there that love you and care about you, and whatever it is you're going through, whatever you might be dealing with, there are people out there who love you and will want to help you in whatever way they can. If you're in that position where you're feeling like you want to do that, or you're feeling like that might be the best thing to do, it's important that you talk to someone. You know, Try and talk to someone before it gets to that point, before it gets to the point where you feel like taking your own life is the only option. Don't let it get to that point. Speak to someone before, when you have the opportunity to do that. Whether that's a professional or a member of your family, try and open up to them if you can. Your family will always be there for you, to support you even in the hardest of times. They will want to help you. And it's important to know that your family will want you. Your family would want you to be okay. They wouldn't want you to do something like that. Taking your own life. They would want you to. You know. No one would want you to do that. You know. Um. But yeah, I thought I'd come on and obviously give my thoughts on that. As I said, no matter how tough times get, suicide should never be a first resort. Suicide is something that should always be a last resort. You should never, um, I mean, it's never, you know, it should never be a first resort, really. I mean, if you feel, as I said, if you're feeling like you want to do that, or you're feeling like that's the only option, try and talk to someone if you can. Try and open up to them. It's always best to try and speak to somebody as soon as you can. Because they might be able to help you with whatever you're actually going through. Try and, talk to somebody about how you're feeling. You know, Talk about the thought, what thoughts you're experiencing. If you're experiencing those kind of thoughts, talk to someone if you can. Don't don't ever think that suicide is the first thing, is the first option. Suicide should always be a last resort, no matter what happens. You know, that's what I'm gonna say. So I thought I'd come on and do a little video on that. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you for another one soon. Bye.